Hello, friends. This is Z Giuliano. It is a Monday. It's the 31st of January, 2022. It's the final day of the first month of this year. I'm here to share the screen to look at some price charts with you. I hope this finds you well. And we're going to run through a bunch of charts, a nice weekly roundup. We'll take a look at the longer time frame weekly charts mainly. We might look a little more locally to the daily time frames if need be, but overall it is looking quite interesting out there, that's for sure. BTC weekly, oh, where are you, BTC? Weekly roundup, that's what I was looking for. So what do we got here? We have an interesting green candle this week here on the 24th January week. So even the body closed high enough on the candle, it would be interesting, you know, it makes sense. Let's just think about it this way. We have the price moving from top to bottom, but along the way, it's finding levels of support where it bounces. And now we have reached here, this closing level of support around this midway point between the top here and bottom here of this more local range. So we turn around in the midst of this local range and we're coming back up now. Question is, we start finding the next resistance points around this 40,000 level, and the closing prices are around 41.8 up to about 43,000. So this little zone here looks like an area on a weekly level where the price chart wants to reach. Some are thinking that we're going to do something a little bit more like this, where there is a move down, up, down, up, down, up, down throughout a choppy range here. And then there are some who think that it's ready to just turn over and go further. And so each of those have an argument. So far, the best argument for me is still the flat, where we have, like, that's not accurate. Of course, that's not our proper channeling. Let's do something a little more accurate. And I don't like that one either. We're going to go from here, here, and pull it down here. That's what we need. We need the 0 to B, and we have our move here. So roughly something like this. And so I think a lot of people are waiting for a move down to the 30,000, 29,000. They're looking to come touch these prices. If this is going to channel like a boss, then maybe it's only going to wick to like a 31,000, 31.5, something like that, and then take off. In that sense, that would be quite wild, because everybody waiting around the 30 and 29K would be left out and have to jump in a little higher. But anyway, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that way. If we go from a closing basis, we start getting more close, and we start closing, you know, around 34. So if, funny enough, maybe 33 does become a significant region here where the price does make its way and finally do a wick and then close back up at these levels, before. And this is a weekly chart, so who knows what it would look like on a daily. There might be a day or two where you could get it around the 31 level, but on a weekly, it might just show up as a wick, you know. Anyway, so that's the sense of a channeled flat. This would be when the flat pattern is channeled with closing levels, then we would see a wick, you know, potentially down to this 31 level, down to this lower band range here. That confluences with closing prices. You get that one down here wicked, and then closing would be all the way up here around a 34 level. So far, the lowest close on a weekly is at the 36 level. Okay, so that's just something to consider. I mean, in this downtrend, current downtrend. Okay, so that's it for BTC. Looking to see this play out. Really excited to be here with you for this, and yeah, I'm really hoping to keep bringing more. I enjoy this, and I hope you do too. So let us get out of this one. I just want to mention there is opportunity to start closing out some of this negative momentum. All right, so we'll see what ends up happening here. I'm very interested. Okay, next we're going to move over to some altcoins against the BTC price chart. We're going to start with KMD and then Pirate Chain, and we'll move to ADA and some others. So let's go there. KMD is featured as new all-time lows on the weekly. So the lower end of the Bollinger Bands, is there going to be a bounce? Are we going to continue down towards this 1,000 region? It is looking difficult for anyone who's long this, holding this. I mean, the positive momentum here did nothing for the price. So that's a rough chart right now. Looks like there's potential for turnaround, but right now it's definitely a knife. There's definitely a falling knife. So where are some potential levels? Well, I guess the 1,000 is a fair level psychologically. And then beyond that, this is the potential for being a spring. Where will that spring lead? It's difficult to say. Look at this drop here before the spring, right? This movement here. So does it have to get to 1,000 before it's able to come back to 3,000 or 2,500? Possible. That's the unfortunate possibility for anyone who's holding, but it also, depending on your outlook on this and what you think is going to happen with the KMD coin itself, could be opportunities of a lifetime here this past year or so. Anyway, we shall see how that rolls out. I'm going to be here along with you to find out. Okay, next we're looking at Pirate Chain. Also, I heard a little bit of talk about privacy today, so that'll be interesting to see as we move forward when the next privacy move comes. I think it'll be interesting for the Pirate Chain, and it'll be interesting also as atomic swaps come into play. Yeah, this is going to be fascinating. Looks like we want to start crossing back into some positive momentum territory. For me, that just means it'll probably flatten. That's okay. That's okay. That sets up a zone of accumulation, and then we can take off like a bit of a runway. That would be a nice situation if we can start seeing it flatten up. Let's look at, well, we have all of our things enabled here, so they're just nothing else to look at. The moving average, the 200 moving average doesn't give us any data yet of significance here. So yeah, looking decent with the Pirate Chain in terms of, it still has this potential to dump down. However, the previous, yeah, there's still a down move. You can still get yourself down to a 14,000, sorry, 1,400 Satoshis level, but at the same time, it's just, these are all decent nibbling points, I would imagine. At this point, it's all decent nibbles for sure. Depends on your degree of patience. Could it go down to the 1,000 level, yes, we don't know what this whole corrective move is going to look like because these are BTC price charts. So the ARRUSD could be going up while BTC is going up hard, and the ARRBTC is just trickling down, or again moving sideways or something like that. So let's see. This is the main upsloping trend line to watch. All right, that's pirate chain price. We're going to move on. Let's go to ADA BTC. What a quick turnaround that was here for us on this weekly price chart. I mean, 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago, we were looking at this candle here, and the previous week before that, we were in the midst of this candle after looking at this previous green engulfing candle. How quickly a turnaround can occur on a weekly chart, even with a nice big bullish engulfing candle. You have to look at the context and things that are happening. A move below the 20-week moving average pops back up. Likelihood of getting rejected is good. So that's exactly what happened. We were able to trace out some levels of resistance, and we actually touched it, but it was not in a sustainable fashion. And so this Ichimoku cloud is looking less and less viable, which means on this BTC price chart with ADA, looks like we will go down to these 2000 levels. It just seems like that's where it's going, 2000 levels. And then, yeah, it can try to get back to the cloud around the 3000 levels, but will that be too much? I don't know, maybe we'll see what ends up happening around there. But for now, lower end of the Bollinger Band is right here at the 2000s. We've got this chunk of price action here at the 2000s. Previous significant resistance and supports at the 2000s. I think that's where it's going. At least that's where it looks like it wants to go. Of course, in this region, people can pick it up here. And there's still a chance that it could claim the cloud. But at this point, it looks more and more like, even if that's the route, even if it plays a sideways game, it's under the cloud at that point, and then we get there. So patience, I think, will show that region, that level. If we take some fib tool here and extend it, we could be looking down around like a sub 1000 level if it's going to do a full retrace of this move. Now, do I think it's going there? No. I think a nice 618 gives you the 1900 level, so that seems fair and reasonable, which would also relate with, from the whole big move down here for the year, it relates to just above the 78.6 level, so it's between the 61.8 and 78.6, which seems like if it is going to have a longer term continued move up against Bitcoin, then it could take that kind of level and go whatever it needs to do, whatever time frame it needs. So, I mean, these are long time frames, so I don't know what exactly this is going to look like, especially if this is some sort of 1-2, in a bigger scale of a move. We'll see. This is all interesting to watch how they play out. But yeah, and it's definitely been interesting to see the ADA price chart correct against BTC. So there's no doubt in my mind it could get to this 1000 level for sure. I mean, once you're down below the Ichimoku cloud, you're pushing the lows of the Bollinger Band. You could dump further. But I think it's more likely as a good hold around a 2000 or 1900 level, even 2100 type of thing. That seems like a good hold. Yeah, why not? Why not? Look, you have the 200-week moving average here as well at the 1600s. So yeah. And then you can have a wick. You could definitely have a wick down. So you could get to that 1000 level. I could see that. I could see anywhere around some of these numbers that I've been just saying. This 200-week moving average, I think, tells a big story. That 1600 or 1700 could be that hot point. You have previous support here, resistance on closing basis, and so yeah, it's good. I'm liking the way this chart is unfolding, but I think patience is going to be necessary. As we're learning on this series, we're learning that the weekly time frame, patience is highly necessary, but you get in at a good time with patience, and then you can ride a bull wave quite nicely. So some thoughts to share about that. So we move on now from the ADA price chart. But before we do move on, there, yeah, like who knows what is this big structure going to look like? Does it start narrowing, or do we get some more negative before we get closer to relative positive? We get more negative than relative positive. We'll see. Okay, keep watching on this price chart. It's the ADA BTC price chart. That can be helpful for deciding whether you want to hold the BTC or hold the altcoin. Okay, next we are going to Theta. Yeah, we're going to keep the same order as usual. We're going to watch the same charts as usual. If you have any requests and you want to throw anything else in, let me know. Put in the comments. Thanks for all the likes. And yeah, this one is broken down below the channel, so we can expect this zone to hold. It's so far holding as support, but I can see it getting lower for sure. And if anything, you know, even getting down to the beginning of this whole move up here from this this wave here. So that's around the 3,000, 4,000 Satoshis level. But currently 5,000 seems like the really nice looking floor to try and grab. See here. As far as channeling goes, I mean, there was some deviation of the channel that's interesting up here. But other than that, it's just been faithfully running this channel. So look into the spring, March, April as a potential time for the Theta price chart to look really hot. Either that, or it's going to bounce around here at these 7,500 levels, and it'll start looking hot there. So just keep an eye on it. Have some patience. This is a good time to accumulate. You know, none of this financial advice, obviously, but it feels like a great time to accumulate a little stack to deploy when the time is right, and maybe the time is right now to start deploying. For Theta, no, but maybe something like BTC, yes. You know, Theta, well, I don't want to say no. I mean, you might put a tiny little bit if you're really into it, but even then, Theta, no, not yet. You want to just watch for a little bit of a bounce and because just yeah, see how the rest of this week goes. Where this candle last week is still a kind of a pausing candle, so just wait, see how this week goes. And even if there is a bit of a move up, you know, when it comes back down, is it just going to go lower? So that's what you got to be watching out for. So that's why patience is helpful, is one of the big learning lessons to take away for all of us. Now let's move on from Theta. Definitely at a good support level, though. We have this zone for a reason, so start nibbling away whenever you would want. But I do want to say again, it's a BTC price chart. So my thing is, you want to see also what's going to happen as BTC moves. If BTC starts rocketing, are these going to follow immediately or in their BTC valuation pair, or are they going to you know, flatten out or even decrease while the BTC is pumping? So that's something to consider. Okay, let's move on here, because I definitely don't feel like alt season is yet upon us for sure. Their charts do not show us alt season. ICX looks in a decent position. It's within this zone, but the question is, look, last week again, just like Theta, we got this kind of sideways red candle. Got this sideways red candle here, which is meaning like, okay, look, we could end around this zone, this price levels, but it'll still be another candle or two, which will, you know, show that. And the reason I say that is because we're at the lower end of the Bollinger Bands. So if that's, and we are at this price support level, which previously had some deviation from it and was returned. So And it previously also had these deviations as well here, whereas it was support there. So yes, we could be finding that level. That would be very necessary. Otherwise, we could be looking at potential, hitting really low lows around this 1500 level, or breaking for new lows, like, for example, Komodo price chart. So we're going to see what some of these alts do, similar to Komodo, but different is ICX and some others that have held their all-time low against BTC so far. But unlike, for example, ADA for Cardano, these ones like ICX are near their all-time lows rather than towards their all-time highs, which is interesting. I mean, here's the thing: if we start to see stabilization on this, I mean, even buying anywhere within these zones would be good for a true proper bull market. That would be, even if it doesn't get to the highest of highs, if it gets to some level here, well, from these lows, you're looking, potential 3x if you want to be conservative. And then from those levels, you're still looking at a 2x and, likely a 3x if it's a proper bull run. So yeah, just make your choices. I guess everybody's going to have to do that for themselves, but you got to watch. I mean, just like we're seeing with KMDs, these charts can, and LTC as well, the charts can be for many years just breaking down lower and lower. So yeah, watch it out. But this is a good, it looks like a good zone. The only problem that I see with this is these lower highs. That's the only problem that I really see with this. Lower highs is not your friend. You really need to take out these highs to make a higher high in order to reestablish the sideways nature of this accumulation. Otherwise, it's going to go lower and make new lows, and it becomes it's just not as strong. So anyway, it's weak, right? Price go down. Okay, we'll see though. You got to keep an eye on it. We're going to move on. If you want to find out each week, I'll stick around with the ICX chart. We'll watch what it does. Let's keep going. Next is Origin Trail TRAC. So with Origin Trail, it found, oh, we're on the daily here. Yeah, it found some really nice support at previous levels we had carved out. So similar to Theta, where it finds some support at the initial top of the range that we had carved out. So the question becomes, look, it's in relation to also to the Ichimoku cloud. So for something like Theta, maybe it's also going to hold. Maybe something like TRAC here, Origin Trail, it's going to hold. We are at this, especially, the issue is it came back down into this zone, but if it's going to go back higher, maybe it has a potential to bounce here into this 20-week moving average and then come back further down. Okay, that's possible. It is in most likelihood, it feels like it's going to go below the Ichimoku cloud. However, maybe it'll take a sideways route, and then it can go higher and then reject, or who knows what these charts are really going to look like. It's going to be interesting to watch them play out. Are we going to have a full-on zigzag all the way down to retrace to these lows here? This could happen, but there's a lot of good choppy price action here that might hold it up a bit and keep it more sideways. So that would be pretty hot as well. But you're just getting started here with some negative momentum after a really big move up. So yeah, what's that going to look like? Only time will tell. Let's stick around. Again, it's about, how much patience do you want to have? Yeah, you could probably pop this and catch it, but for the most part with that, you would be wanting to look at, for example, on daily price charts. Even this though on the daily, it's below the 200 period average. It's like you really want to see it come above that and support it. And then even then you have this Ichimoku cloud here. So what kind of action are you really looking for? Is basically this type of resistance level. And same thing, so then you would see that on the weekly and you have that right here. So you know, and again, that's basically that 20-week moving average. So when that's the case, then it's more short-term thinking. But these are weekly roundups to just zoom out and look at the big picture and see where things might move. It's definitely interesting to watch this chart build and take a life going forward. Where is it going to go? Oh, excellent. Okay, we're moving on now. Origin Trail. We're moving on to DERO. DERO has dropped below this 20,000 level. It's just struggling, fighting there, similar with the other charts that found that initial zone that was carved out from some intra-week action, some resistance. That's what we carved it out. And also now, yeah, it's hitting that lower end of the channel. Weekly candle wise, again, it's another intermediate candle, similar to those other charts that had a similar candle. So I don't even know if this is going to happen anymore. Maybe it's going to be something more like this or this, right? Not that I know this was going to happen. What I mean when I say I don't know if it's going to happen is what's it going to look like? Maybe it just goes to the midway level and then dumps further down to here and then goes sideways. That's possible. However, this is the beginning of the up move, and so some might even think it's coming all the way back down here. That's a tough call. I think though, anywhere between this orange and red line are really hot zones. We're definitely not there yet. This chart needs patience. This chart definitely needs patience to watch it play out. Look at how much time it's spent in this uptrend. 33 weeks, so nearly a half year. So you're going to need to see at least the same amount of time, unless this is, well, no, not even unless. You're going to need to see the same amount of time. We're talking the spring, May, and even then, if it's a type of move, let's say that's going there, even if it's something like that, after that, it's coming further down. That's the sense that this whole thing gives. So yeah, this is going to require a lot of patience on the DERO chart. You can look for shorter term action if you want, but patience is required if you want to accumulate for a next move up. You really got to watch out. Let's do this. I feel like feels like it's more reasonable at this point. But even then, whatever, we'll see. Okay, so yeah, this arrow at this point, this arrow is moot. I have no idea exactly what's the best idea for it, but that's fine. Only just because I would like it to respect the channel, but honestly, it doesn't have to. It could respect it from the halfway. Okay, that's it though. DERO seen a lot of negative momentum here, so we'll see what it can do in terms of any type of turnaround, but this is a big move that needs to be corrected. So we move on to LTC, and there will be a quick view at, I believe, an all-time low. Well, not a pure all-time low if we take these type of scan wiki situations, but it is pressing on these previous lows of March 2017, February 2017. You see that right there. We are definitely pressing those lows. Kind of candle. Well, previous candle was a pretty big red bear candle, closing at lows that hasn't been seen since March of 2017, and it's definitely the lowest close on the chart all-time low closing for the LTC price chart. So let's see so far what we're building here and what effect it will have going forward. Ultimately, we're looking to kind of sideways and bottom here at this lower end of Bollinger Band. hold the integrity of lows, that would be good. If not, well, there's previous price action there. And even then, like, look, it's lowest of lows here. But if it can hold this lower end of Bollinger Band, and it can, you know, look at it, it is slowly narrowing. So if it can narrow before a big burst up, that would be pretty hot. And even if it only gets up to this level, 004, this 430,000 level. Yeah, that's, I mean, at least it's a ticket out if that's what you need, 50% higher ticket. That's about it for LTC. Yeah, there's time to go. I get the sense that like around the time of 2026, 27, 28, especially around 2028 to 2030, it's going to change the game in terms of like what cryptos and altcoins are really all about. And that's why I wonder about some of these downtrends and what's it going to mean against Bitcoin long term. But currently, it's just getting whacked for sure against Bitcoin. Okay, that's it. That's my thoughts. LTC brings out the super long term sovereign individual thoughts. Okay, next we have BNB. And BNB is still holding this 20-week moving average, but how much longer? My guess is not much longer. Concern is, well, it's a shorter term uptrend, so that's fine. The longer term uptrend has already been broken, so that's fine too. And then this longest term uptrend has a good level for support anyway, regardless, like whether it's here around the 430,000 or all the way up to this like 700,000 level, where you have the cloud. You really want to keep this cloud support, but I mean, who knows what this is going to look like going forward. There is a lot of momentum that needs to clear out still. So what's that going to look like up here in price levels? Double topping, lower high, going to bust this trend line. You got an Ichimoku cloud at least. That's and you have all these support levels here. So that's really your hope, and you're still at a good level. You're like basically at the near the halfway point of the upper end of this channel. So yeah, but you see that these levels are possible. Here's your 200-week moving average, currently around the 400,000 Satoshis level. BNB price is strong. It's got a good hodl tech. So yeah, this channel, if you can get down at the cloud level and get some, that seems like a good, reasonable zone. However, that's also at a high risk area, because if it breaks down, so you would definitely want some confirmation. You would want patience. I guess patience is necessary again for BNB against BTC. All right, other than using it for gas fees and other things that it might be needed for in its utility case. In terms of holding, it was just, or in terms of accumulating more, it would be definitely be patience here. Okay. Link, everything seems to be about patience right now. And BTC is really the one to watch. Then everything else gets some patience, because there's no doubt that BTC has a big role to play in all of this right now. So, I mean, I can see Link bottoming here and just straddling this region. You know, you've got your 200-week moving average. If it can support this, the previous week's candle is a nice buy up candle back towards this 20-week moving average, although it just previously lost that 20-week moving average after a big push up. So, however, we're below this 20-week and it could just fail. But it does give the sense that Link is one of those ones where it could be in a bit of an accumulation zone. But the problem is this Ichimoku cloud. Like, what is this actually telling us? What's going to happen here? And then you have this 200-week moving average. If it starts dropping below that, you also have these strong levels here. If those levels don't hold, I mean, what's to say you don't get here or even here around like 100, sorry, around like 12,000. You really want this level to hold in terms of bullishness. You really, really, really want that level to hold in terms of bullishness. So yes, patience, but also, you know, on a daily level, you might watch some levels. If it starts getting dangerously low and it starts breaking below this trend line, then yeah, then you might be concerned. However, you got to also watch for deviations. And then what is this Ichimoku cloud going to do? But I guess that's not until, you know, June, July, August, and we're going to know a lot more in the springtime about what's happening here. Maybe it is going to fight this cloud and somehow get above. I mean, that would be something to watch. I would come for the weekly roundup just to see that. Anyway, the other option is yeah. I mean, where is your support? Is it here? Is this really your support here in this zone? Yeah, maybe with like the top of the box here, because this is too much up and down. And I know there's a halfway here. So that kind of gives something for this level here too. So I guess that's what you do is you look at some levels but right now, again, it's patience on some level. If this was closing above the 200, above the 20-week moving average, that would be a little hotter, but it's not so hot. So patience is best here. Let it settle above the 200-week moving average. That would be great. Otherwise, you're going to get a cross of the 20 and the 200 over time, and that would be in the, you know, in the spring, May, June, whatever. Anyway, we'll see. Whew. Looking quite interesting. And for more, we would go into the daily and take a look there. Maybe we'll do that in another video. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to the next chart. Wow, DOT against BTC. Yeah, we broke down that whole uptrend and we're at the lower end of the Bollinger Bands here. We made looks like a 5-wave, 3-wave. I'm looking for a 5-wave down, Elliott wave style here. I mean, it just looks to me like a proper ABC pattern is building here. So this does look like a good zone here for DOT. If you want to pick it up, but let's see. I mean, of course, that's possible that won't happen. What are some measurements that we have here? What are some measurements that we have here so far? Yeah, 1-to-1 is actually quite less than that. It's set to 4,000. So hey, and that would confluence with this level here from back in July of 21, July not 2021 here. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's 40,000 satoshis. Why not? So there you go. I mean, if it's going to 1618 and it's going to bust through this level here, it makes sense that it would come down here, and that's a 1618 of the move. So there you go for Polkadot. I think that's quite a good analysis there for DOT. It already broke down this trend line, so why not? Why not? We're at the lower end of the Bollinger Band. It was narrowing. We're down at the lower end. We're making lower lows than we had before. We got a zigzag going is my best guess here. That's all. That's really, yeah, increasing negative momentum. Yeah, go for it. Okay, so now the next, yeah, that's it. I don't really have anything else to say about that. We're looking at either some like low levels here or here, and it's being confirmed by this potential zigzag. Okay, done. Good job, Dot. Oh, let's confluence that with a retracement just for fun. Just retrace low to high. Who wants an 88.6, baby? Go for it. Even a 78.6 would be hot. There you go. Okay. Yeah, looks like all of the big ones, like the ones that have been really taking a lot of praise, similar like Phantom, they are getting crushed at this point. You know, from these highs, when you make a blow off like that, maybe there is something to be said about this. However, I don't know if it ends here. So whatever, this count doesn't really matter. I actually don't want to look at the count right now because that just would potentially confuse us. And so FTM BTC, we just want to look at some levels here and really see, because the count doesn't matter. Like we just finished a big move up. Is going to be correction, just like there was here, just like there was here. But at this point, what we have to watch is this 20-week moving average. It might get a little bit of a bounce here. It might even get a hefty bounce. That's the thing. You know, do we have higher targets? It's still potential to get there. Well above the Ichimoku cloud. Problem is we had started building this negative, this bearish divergence between price and the oscillators here. So yeah, I'm guessing this would be a good level down to the bottom of this move. So if we are in this, you know, this time frame here, April, May, and we are down at this Ichimoku cloud level here around 3,000, 3,500 Satoshis level, that is totally doable. It totally makes sense. The other option is really if that's not the levels, you know, like 3,000-ish, then you really are about big dump down to the 1,000 or 1,500 level. That's it for Phantom. There's not much more to say on that. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. So stick around. You want to see what kind of candles we're looking at? Yeah, this is gonna be interesting to see. On the daily, if the count is accurate enough, you know, maybe we don't really go that much down and then we go higher. So we'll see, but it just doesn't feel like that anymore with this kind of momentum needing to turn over. Yeah, I don't know how you keep going that much longer with this, but anything is possible. So there is your Phantom price chart. Yeah, patience for sure with this one. And then, because yeah, well, main reason is because we're not even at the 20-week moving average yet. We want to see it come back there. Okay, then we have Solana, Sol BTC. Recently had a dump below the 20-week dump. Like it tried. Okay, let's just get a little bit more clear here. Had that dump, and then with time was below the 20-week moving average. It was a neutral sideways candle, intermediate candle, but it was green. It was a retest of this 20-week, but it failed. It closed below it. And the next week, boom, big dump towards the lower end of the Bollinger Band, big red bearish candle. This week it continues, or sorry, previous week. So the last week here, the week of January 24th week, this candle starts pushing the Bollinger Bands, and it's a lower closing candle, lower end of this boxy area here, so making new lows. And so yeah, maybe we're going to test this week, but Solana is looking big time dumpish because everyone knows there's nothing left until here on the weekly. So watch out. From here, that's another minus 50-ish%, 45-50%. And then at that point, you're at the mercy of being below the Ichimoku cloud. So that could just be bringing you down to these kinds of levels ultimately. At least though, you're looking to come down to these levels, you know, where the move started, and you know, as it ends, at least this wave to get retraced would be a good correction, and then you could figure out how to get to the next part. But you know, this doesn't look like it's holding as a level, so the next step is down here. So you're currently at about 250,000 Satoshis, and we're looking to get down to about 120,000 Satoshis, 125 maybe. But that would just be probably at that point, it would be like some of those earlier charts we saw where you just have a little, like the candles just stopping here, but then they would likely breach this zone and get into this zone at least to find their support. Yeah. So the lower end of that being around 75,000 sats. That will be that'll be an interesting play for sure. That'll be an interesting play for sure. Okay, that's it for Solana. Watch the bear. The Solana bear is out. Let's see, AVAX against BTC, the avalanche, yeah, also showing potential weakness. Okay, similar to avalanche, sorry, similar to Solana. The benefit of this one is it's still above the 20-week moving average. It is still above this critical closing price level. But this previous week, it just made an intermediate candle. So this intermediate neutral candle, not sure if it's going to last longer than a week or two before further downside. Maybe we're going to make some sort of zigzag move down to this levels here around the 100,000 level. Interestingly, though, it has more support zone than, well, similar levels as Solana, but it's just got a bit more, you know, resistance turn support action right here at this, what is this, 87? Yeah, 87,000 level. So there you go. That's the expectation for AVAX, but then at that point, it could be below the Ichimoku cloud, and then yeah, you're looking for reaccumulation before the next move up is your hope for this kind of chart. And the difference that I've noticed between these ones and because these are weekly price charts, difference between these ones, for example, and Komodo or some of the other ones is that they have a sustained weekly moves. They have sustained weekly moves, whereas the other ones looked more like this, and then they're down. So we'll see. Because of these sustained weekly moves, does that mean that as they return, they'll have, again, sustained weekly moves that take them higher? We'll see. It'll be interesting to watch. But for now, we're watching for these lower levels. Well, actually, firstly, you want to, if you're keeping a closer tab, you want to look at the dailies and then even below that, but daily at least to compare with the weekly. And you want to see this level get breached to the downside and held as resistance. Then you know that move is coming more likely. Otherwise, for now, it's actually in a better position as it is above that zone, and watch for some confirmation of support. Maybe it pops up and comes back down on a lower time frame and holds it and keeps going up, then you know you're in a better position. But that doesn't based on everything else and the way things seem to move, that doesn't feel right. It feels like it'll hold this 20-week a little bit, but then it'll eventually get below, it'll retest it, find resistance, and then come back down. That seems fair. Yeah, oops. Yeah, feels like it's just getting started. It's just getting this support zone cleared out, and then we're going to move down to this level, which is I don't think it's going to hold here, and it'll just go straight down. That's really what it is. It's a straight down level here. So yeah, it feels like it's coming for all of the altcoins against Bitcoin. That's just what it is. Cool. Next. Yeah, it's just starting some negative momentum here on this weekly time frame. After divergences. So let's watch. Okay, we're coming towards the end of this weekly roundup. I think we're gonna go into here. Yeah, we're at MATIC, which also taking a beating back down towards this, what is it, 3,700 level? 3,750, down towards this 20-week moving average, down towards this Ichimoku cloud level. I think MATIC is one that could get some support, could find some support. If it can do that, and it can hold above these levels here with that kind of support action, then you really actually have a really, what ends up happening here is that this whole thing becomes a really amazing correction to work with on a long scale, on a longer term scale, because then you really start to see the potential here where it holds that, and then the next levels, like we're talking, this is a logarithmic factor, so it's going to have to be something significant. Yeah, incredible. But currently it's still playing out this, it hasn't even reached to the negative momentum really. We're just starting to move down. We have this level, which will likely be broken. So then it'll come down towards something down here. So we'll see though, price can do some amazing things. We'll see what the market decides, but we haven't even gotten to the 20-week moving average to find support and then break. This Ichimoku cloud doesn't look like the strongest thing until you start to get out into July. Then you might have some hope of finding support and building a bigger cloud. But other than that, the danger is, again, a move down, in which case the only thing with MATIC is that below this level here of like 2,500 Satoshis, I mean, it's a bit lower than that, but yeah, below that, you don't find your support until about 600, 700 Satoshis. That's a long way down. So the one thing that MATIC has going for it is this support level here. And if it is going to be a long-term play, then that is what I think will happen on this chart, is something more of a support at these levels, and then it can go higher. Otherwise, bang, like it's going to be a rough ride down. Or it can find some, but see, once you start getting below there, okay, we'll see what happens with the Ichimoku cloud. Does it start coming down? And then you just, through time, you go through it. Maybe it'll be interesting to watch. I'm really actually very curious about the MATIC price chart. There are a few of these that I'm very curious to see how they're going to turn out. And MATIC is definitely one of them, just because of this, what it's setting up to look potentially to do. So, because yeah, it's one of the more ambiguous ones. It could get support and go higher, or it could break down further. Whereas other ones, like for example, the Solana, it just feels ripe to get down to this level here. Like it's ready. Then again, I could be wrong, and it could find its support here, and boom, it's back up. But yeah, we already did our TA on that, and it's just a different position than MATIC. And it's interesting how the charts show that. It's so fascinating. I love it. Now we're on Luna BTC. So we are getting a nice bounce off that 20-week moving average this week, but last week was a really big dump candle. So That's one thing. The next levels are down here, and I think it's just too much to say that we would. It's not too much to say that we would just break down this whole channel. Like we could start to see these levels here between 90,000 Satoshis at the high, and 60,000 Satoshis or 50, so yeah, 60,000 at the low. But Luna looks like it also could find its supports and run higher over time. Yeah, especially if it gives a good bounce here and kind of pushes up towards this 150 level, 150,000 Satoshis level. And then even if it gets rejected there and comes further down, it's every little bit of strength reduces the amount that it will have to go down, in the sense that over time, the correction is happening over time rather than as much through price to the downside. So then a little bit of a move up here and then breakdown allows some potential to find support at the channel and these price levels and then continue. But yeah, this chart also, like MATIC, I'm very curious to see how this one's going to turn out. It's similar to Avalanche in the sense that it's right on the edge here and looking to just keep dumping further. But it's similar to Avalanche. It has this kind of price action to give support. Even, well, if you're down here, then you're in a really bad situation. If you're down at the 40,000 level, you really need this to hold support. Otherwise, you're likely coming down here because this makes more sense to be coming towards like 15,000 level. But I see this as more of a strong support level with confluence with this channel. I can see that happening. The other thing I can see happening is actually holding some strength here. Like we got to watch 1 or 2 weeks from now. What will the weekly candles be doing? Will it be breaching this territory after just a short time of support here? I mean, this is just this week's candle. By the end of this week, it could be a red candle with the body closing below. So I don't want to hold too much on this green candle, but it does show that we are at the 20-week moving average and we could have a bounce of whatever degree. And so this week might just be a pause here and then next week is lower. I mean, that makes sense too. So first target for Luna is this level here, which is about 70,000 Satoshis. Let's give it right there. That's the first target for Luna. And yeah, that's the first target for Luna. If this doesn't hold though, then yeah, you're in a bad scenario, because then you even start seeing things like potential for that sort of thing to happen, and then you're down here, which is whatever. That's just weak, is super weak. But again, these are the Bitcoin price charts, so we're gonna see what else is happening around the space. But again, here, the more I look at this chart, it's like I don't even know if this is gonna hold. We're just starting some negative momentum here. Once you break below these levels on the RSI, you're gonna dump. It feels like, because a lot of people that got in down here don't want to be getting out over here. They'd rather get out over here. And as they get out over here, this is our zone. This is an important zone. If that can't hold, wow. Okay, there you go for Luna. That's all I really want to say about that, I guess. And then Atom against BTC. Well, again, similar to the others that we said would be dumping. It dumped hard. It dumped down to the 20-week moving average. We're getting a bit of a bounce. Again, it has the fortune of this Ichimoku cloud here for some support, but we haven't even reached our negative momentum in the histogram yet. So I just see it breaking down. And the lucky thing here is that you've got this zone of price action to hold you. Here's our first level and then our next level. So let's get a zone going. this zone here. Oh, that's a zone, but it's again, it's like such an up and down zone. This just feels like deviations. Let's just bring it down here. That feels right. That feels right. There you go. I know it's a big zone and you were already just recently in it. So, but that's good. That allows for this cloud to hold support, allows for this uptrend. I think the big thing you're going to need to watch for the atom price against BTC is what does it do against this uptrending line? So first the 20-week and then uptrending line. I think as you break the 20-week, you're really looking for it to look like this, where it breaks below, fights it, finds some support at this type of uptrending line, and then is able to go higher. Otherwise, you break below, and then you really have to hope that it channels here, similar to this price. But in which case, you could probably trade it well. It'd probably really good for trading it between 50,000 and 30,000. So just some things to consider on these weekly charts. Okay, that's it. That's it. Down is the bias overall for a lot of these, even the BTC. But we're gonna, here, I think there are some hex lovers out there, and I was just gonna add this one in and say, similarly, like if you don't hold this level, at least it's got some choppiness to hold as supports, but why wouldn't you go back down to 1 or 2 cents? You know, it just makes sense. But this is one of those things. Look, you're gonna come below the Ichimoku cloud. You already rejected at the 20-week moving average twice. You start making lower lows, you're gonna come towards the lower end of the Bollinger Band. You're probably down here, maybe even if you start breaking the Bollinger Band and come down here. Yeah, 2 cents. I mean, why not? Why not? It's possible. Okay. Of course, based on the tokenomics and other things, maybe this doesn't do that. Maybe it is able to, you know, find its way out. We'll see. Maybe it has the luxury of getting itself out to begin with. Anyway, I'm probably speaking too much than I need to. Like with this chart, at least it's seen already a lot of negative momentum. The problem is it's continuing its negative momentum. So we're going to see where that leads. But anyway, here's some hex against USD. It's our second USD price chart. Okay, that was a little bonus hex for you. I'm going to just pop it back where it was, and I'm going to stop here. So I hope this was enjoyable for you. I hope you got some food for thought. And until next time, I'm wishing you love, peace, and happiness. Keep coming back for more. All right. Goodbye.